Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again.
Welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man whose doghouse just won a lighting and decoration contest. Jake, welcome, Jacob.
Rough. That's Snoopy for heck yeah. No, more Snoopy would be like something like that. That's it. That's more like it. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who is just trying not to pull a Charlie Brown. Welcome, Drew.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just get depressed.
That is true.
You sometimes just don't feel like getting into Christmas because it's too commercialized.
That is true.
But then I quit working at Walmart, and I just feel fine.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Jacob?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a very long week. It's been a long week. It's been a long weekend, but it's a very enjoyable weekend. I'll get into that in a few minutes.
Right. But first, we've got our trivia question for this week.
We do.
And this week's trivia question was, what book, chapter, and verse does Linus recite in A Charlie Brown Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
It's Luke 1? No, it's Luke 2.
Mm-hmm.
Luke 2. I'm not sure the verse, though.
You did good. It is Luke 2, verses 8 through 14.
8 through 14.
Which Josh Adams got exactly right, so that brings Josh up to 40 points on the trivia game. I don't know what these 40 points are to, but Dallas did say that Josh was right before last week in the chat. So
Gotcha.
Awesome sauce. So now that we got that out of the way, of course, we will ask another trivia question at the end of this week's episode. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, Jacob, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing very well. Going back a week. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody who, if you had a great, wonderful and joyous festivity, celebrating what the Lord has blessed you with, family or, family that are friends, what have you.
And hopefully you survived Black Friday.
Exactly. Those are always harrowing times. I've been doing pretty good. I went to go see my parents on Wednesday and then stayed the night. There again, I hate driving. I hate driving at night. Let me point that out. I hate driving at night. I think
fair enough.
So I go to my parents' place, go hang out. Me and Jim, my brother, also former the show we formerly were part of. We watched another series. I'll bring that up in a few minutes when we get up to my watch. So have turkey dinner. I've been invited to go hang out with my boss because he's like, hey, come over. We'll have plenty of food. Okay. So I plan on leaving around 3. That didn't happen. I wound up going to visit some of my other family, which were right next door to my parents. And I didn't leave the house until like 6:30, 6:45. Got home, dumped my gear, went to work the next morning, and then went to the Texas Renaissance Fair that night. There again, I don't like driving at night. If you haven't been to the Texas Renaissance Fair, if you are in Texas during the fall season, it is a wonderful experience.
I'm sure it is.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of walking.
Not my thing, but I'm sure it's fun.
Exactly. So, yeah, went there, drove back. Now, if you are from the Texas area, primarily the East Texas area, there was a massive rainstorm came through that night. I drove through that. So what a trip that took me normally 2.5 hours nearly took me 4 hours because I'm driving between 60 and 50.
Right.
the entire way. So, yeah, it was interesting. Went to church the next morning, and
Soaked to the bone still.
I don't have a convertible, man.
Well, I'm saying you were probably still soaked, even though you were probably dry.
Yeah, probably.
You felt soaked.
I felt soaked. That was the most nerve-wracking drive I've ever experienced. Let's say that. And currently I am dog sitting for a family at church. So thank you to the family. You are now enjoying a probably well-deserved vacation.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm taking care of 3 dogs for this week. And so, yeah, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go get stuff from my apartment and then head back over to their place. So, yeah, that has been my week. How about you?
Well, after we got done recording last week, I did not quite figure out the amount of time I really needed to edit the podcast before I had to be in Lindale last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I'll just pack up the source files, put it on a jump drive, and then I'll just edit it while I'm down there and upload it.
The jump drive didn't get stuffed in the turkey, did it?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Jump drive is actually right here.
Okay, good. It didn't become part of the giblets.
No, it didn't. No, now it's lost on the floor forever. Well, I got it edited on my parents' computer. I failed to realize that Wi-Fi is slower than a wired connection. And it takes a while to upload files. Because, see, on my computer, I'm hooked right into the modem.
Right.
It's like 5 minutes to upload the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
It took 45 minutes before the system reset, which meant it didn't get uploaded Sunday.
Right.
Until Sunday, when I got back here and got it uploaded via my computer.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are curious why last week's episode came out so late, that's why.
What time did you get back anyway?
On Sunday?
Yeah.
Like about 8:30.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me and Chase just hung out and just...
Yeah, it would have been too late for me to come over there as I was already wore out.
Yeah, he was worn out because he's been dealing with a cold.
I wouldn't know a thing about that.
No, obviously not.
But, I mean, yeah. And we had a good time over the week. Watched a lot of old TV. Hung out. Decorated helped my mom decorate for Christmas. You know, just kind of normal stuff.
And then obviously decorated here.
Well, that was this afternoon.
Yeah.
Because I needed to get it done before the episode.
That is true.
So anyway. So I got to do a cool thing this week.
Cool. What was that?
I got to record a devotion for Geek Devotions.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Yeah, about Final Fantasy 14 of all things.
Wow.
So, yeah, you got to go check that out when you get a chance.
Yeah. Do that.
Other than that, I think that's about all I've done. What have you been watching?
What have I been watching? So, besides this wonderful short film we were about to review, I watched as I was at my parents' place for Thanksgiving the night before. Me and my brother Jim sat down because we started talking about Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Right.
How the second part come out on Netflix. If you haven't watched the first part, go watch it. It's really good. There again, it's very controversial. Either you love it or you just despise it. So we wound up watching the second part, was on I think like 5 or 6 episodes. It's amazing storytelling, like always with the first part of amazing storytelling. This doesn't disappoint whatsoever. So I wound up watching that. And on Sunday, I was sitting over with a friend of ours, Chase, who's also been on an episode. We reviewed Tron last year. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to listen to that episode, go check it out in the archives. So we want to watching, I think it's My Love Story. It's an anime.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Big hulking guy.
I've seen this advertised.
Yeah.
Big brute of a guy falls in love with a little girl.
Yeah, pretty much.
Say a little girl, a small, cute person of the same age.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how that be like it's the storytelling and the how real they get the emotions, and
Mhm.
it's not just like, oh, head over heels and nothing's wrong with their relationship whatsoever. Which does always bug me because they're not realistic.
Right.
It's the oh, we're gonna throw everything into a fantasy world where nothing is wrong, giving reality the boot.
Those are called isekai.
That is true. We were talking about
90% of the time.
we were talking about isekai at one point. So yeah, I watched that, and then before I got over here, I finished notes. You know what? I've got a little time, so I pulled up Netflix, started watching the Netflix original series Cowboy Bebop, based on the same anime series that came out in the '90s or late '90s actually. And if you have not watched the original series, go watch it. If you're an anime nut, or you love animation in general, go watch it. I know Drew is
In process.
of watching the series. So yeah, I watched episode 1. It's kind of a mixed bag. They change a lot. One character shows up way too early. I was like, oh, okay, I see why they brought this character in. And then they bring in a character who is steadily introduced through the series, who doesn't show up until the last episode, or the second from last episode in the original series. She shows up in the very first episode at the very end, which I'm like, what? It blew my mind. I was like, this is different. It's like, okay, that's going to take a knife to one of our main protagonist. But either way, let us know if you have seen the new Cowboy Bebop on Netflix.
I haven't.
Okay. If there again, no spoilers, just see if you've watched it and let us know what you think without spoiling it. Because there is quite a bit of it that's different. Let's say that.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's what I have watched. And there again, if you watched Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2, please let us know down in the comment section down below, wherever you're watching or listening, and let us know what you thought of it. So, with that out of the way, that is all I've been watching. So, what have you been watching, Drew?
Well, while I've been visiting my parents this week, we of course watched some Middle, which I've brought up before.
Mm-hmm.
We also watched some episodes of 2 other different shows.
Really?
Classics. One of them we watched was Wagon Train.
Wagon Train
is a 1960s Western television show from right before the switch to color.
Oh, okay.
And it shares a format with another favorite television show of mine from that era that is still getting sequels and new movies and TV shows. And we've even reviewed some of the franchise on this show.
Do tell.
Well, I mean, one of the ships is right here.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's the original. In fact, Star Trek has always been called the Wagon Train.
I got
stars.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah. But so we watched some of that, and then we also watched another show, another black and white Western from that era.
Mm-hmm.
That has a very, very popular theme song. Rawhide.
Ah, okay.
That's an interesting show.
Okay.
Give that a shot if you've never seen it. It's a fun little Western show. It's very much it's similar to Wagon Train in that it's every place they go, there's a different incident.
Yeah.
While they're trying to drive these cattle.
Yeah.
So it is very episodic, but I mean each of the individual stories we saw were very good. So yeah, we watched that. Watched an old movie from the 80s that I enjoy called War Games, starring Matthew Broderick.
I keep hearing about this movie. I haven't watched it yet.
You need to watch it. I think I've got a copy of it lying around here somewhere.
Okay.
May let you borrow it.
Thanks.
And that's pretty much... Oh, no, I take it back. There's some other things. I'm now caught up on Discovery, Season 2.
Okay.
Season 2. Season 4, as it's come out. First 2 episodes. And another little show that is started streaming Wednesday. About a archer at Christmas time.
Oh, Hawkeye.
Yes.
How is that?
First two episodes so far have been pretty good. I'm looking forward to the next one in the morning.
Okay.
Since you can stream now,
I can actually watch it.
you can actually keep up. But you've got some other shows to keep up.
I do have a large catalog of stuff to watch.
You will. I understand one day you will get caught up.
Mhm.
Mandalorian.
Okay, Mandalorian.
Because Book of Fett's coming out later this month. Next month.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's the last day of November. I don't care. At the end of December, we got Book of Fett coming, and I'm looking forward to it.
At least I learned that it's actually book of Bubba Fett is going to be shorter.
Bubba Fett?
I said it wrong. I've always
That's
called
a redneck Boba Fett is what I'm getting. That is Boba Fett with a pot belly. Which, considering when he...
In my defense, I've always called it Bubba Fett.
It's Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. I'd be like
Boba
for some
Tea.
Boba Fett.
Not
Thank-
Bubba Fett.
Okay. I don't know why I've always called it that. I don't know why.
Same reason you also called it Star Trek. Probably. It's just how you heard it the first time and you kept calling it that.
Probably.
Until somebody corrected you.
Yeah. Either way.
Anyway, yeah, so, and other than that, the only thing I've been playing has been Spider-Man Miles Morales
Gotcha.
on my PS5. It is an awesome game.
Cool.
Highly, especially it's good for this time of year because it's a Christmas game.
Really?
It takes place at Christmas in New York City. And the snow effects, you know how when we watch something in 3D and they do particle effects, it's always iffy whether it works or not?
Yeah.
Works beautifully on this thing.
Good.
All the snow effects, it's not just like a snow filter where the snow's going all different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It actually looks like snow is falling in a especially in blizzard conditions.
Okay.
You can see the snow being twisted in the wind and everything. It's awesome.
Nice.
And I swear they chose they designed the Tinkerer and the Underground based on the fact that the system has ray tracing.
Nice.
Because they all are glowy neon people.
Glowy neon people.
They got a lot of glowy neon all over their bodies and such,
Okay.
which is an interesting design. I don't know how well it worked on the PS4, but on the PS5, it's pretty.
Oh, okay.
Especially when you Venom strike them in the face. Especially the big bruisers.
Okay.
Punch them in the face with a giant lightning bolt. It's fun.
Ow! That just hurts thinking about it.
I'm not punching you in the face with a lightning
Well,
bolt.
thank you. I
You're
appreciate
too
that.
small.
Okay.
Anyway,
I've known some bruisers in my life, but I am no bruiser.
that's what I've been playing.
All right.
What do we got in the news?
All right. So news-wise, Warner Brothers or Warner Bros. Dropped the first official trailer for what they're calling a furry feature outing of DC's Legends of Super Pets. Starring and produced...
This is an interesting concept.
Yes, it is. Starring and produced by Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock.
Of course, because he's Crypto.
Yeah, he's the voice of Crypto, the super dog. It's written and directed by Jared Steinert, for the Lego Batman movie. Small synopsis. The spot introduces the surprising herd of superpowered pets who step in to save the world when the Justice League is put out of commission. This film will be released by Warner Bros. Pictured in theaters internationally beginning May 18th, 2022 in North America on May 20th, 2022. All right, so there's a new movie coming to Netflix. Like there's always coming something to Netflix.
Right.
Coming from Silvergate Media. They were releasing Oughta and the Mountain King, an epic 80-minute movie special, which will launch exclusively on Netflix on December 30th. Apparently, it's adapted from a Luke Pearson's 6th graphic novel of the Oughta series. And apparently, it's finding Oughta stranded in troll country with with the body of a troll. That's all the description I get of it.
Okay.
So I've never heard of this. It sounds like an interesting synopsis in a way. So yeah, if you want to go check that out, you're more than welcome to. I might check it out myself. So that's all I have in the news.
All right, then we need to get into our spoiler-free thoughts on A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yes.
This was actually the first time I watched this thing all the way through.
Really?
Yeah, for whatever reason, I've never watched this before, except for bits and pieces, except for there may be a chance I saw it a long time ago when I was a kid once.
Okay.
Because I remember the thing about the aluminum Christmas trees.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think I may have came in the middle of it. I don't think I watched it from the beginning until this viewing.
Okay.
This is an interesting little short.
That it is.
If we're being honest. I have some issues with it that there's some parts of it I don't think worked very well, but if you're wondering to know if you should go watch Charlie Brown Christmas and you've never watched A Charlie Brown Christmas before, I'm just going to tell you go watch it because it's worth it.
Indeed.
There are some issues which I'll get into later, but other than that, it's just a fun little 30-minute short, and I don't regret watching it. So yeah. What are your thoughts?
Kind of like Drew, like most people, I've probably seen this movie periodically throughout the year, starting from a young lad until more recently. I was able to watch it on Apple Plus TV. There again, I was over at another person's house, dog sitting, and watching it on my iPad. And their internet kept. Well, I don't think it was the internet. If something was the content was dropping. So I was. This is a 25-minute episode, and it took me like 40, nearly an hour to watch it. So that was fun.
Right.
But it's overall, it's a really, really great story. It's kids being kids, and kids are, goofy and silly and just can be incredibly cruel to each other, like adults can.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a very nice, warm, positive end. And it's an enjoyable little film. It's an enjoyable little short film. So there again, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Or if you haven't watched it entirely, like most of us haven't, go watch it. There again, you can watch it. You can stream it, or you can watch it most places. You can purchase it most places, or you can watch it on Amazon or Apple Plus because they have the exclusive rights to it right now. So yeah, what do you got to lose? Go watch it. 25 minutes. It's worth your time.
Indeed. So join us on the other side of the break, and we will get to talking about this thing. Don't forget that you can download. Don't forget that you can. Don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, The Cellcast, our Twitch channel, The Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And at our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. This podcast is part of the Culture Box Media Network. For more great content like this, please check out the link in the description. There you can find other great shows, such as The Untold Podcast, which is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. You can check out their podcast at untoldpodcast.com. Also, we are a part of Pop Americana, where you can enjoy other shows like Franchise Fatigue,
Do you like movies? Of course you do. I bet you even like big movie franchises like Star Wars, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Indiana Jones. And obviously, since you listen to us, you must like listening to movie reviews. But what if I were to tell you there is a podcast that reviews film series one movie at a time? You'd like that? Well, then go check out the Franchise Fatigue podcast over on your favorite podcast catcher and listen to James and Gabe give an in-depth analysis and review on every movie in your favorite franchise.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie A Charlie Brown Christmas. Listener discretion is advised. A Charlie Brown Christmas was directed by and was the voice of Snoopy was done by Bill Melendez, who also animated or directed the animated The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe movie.
Okay.
I didn't even know there was an animated one until I did the research for this.
I've heard of it.
And of course, this was written by and based on the comic strip by Charles M. Schultz, which, of course, the comic strip is Peanuts, which he hates the name because he couldn't. They forced him to use the name. Getting into the cast, Peter Robbins was the voice of Charlie Brown, and in the Blondie TV series, based on the Blondie comic strip, that's got a Bumstead in it.
Okay.
He played Alexander Bumstead, the son.
Really?
Yeah. And for the most part, we'll get into it. Anne Altieri was the voice of Frida. And in You're in Love, Charlie Brown, she was the voice of Violet. By the way, there's going to be a lot of Charlie Brown stuff in this because not a lot of people were in other things.
It's all interconnected, apparently.
Yeah, Chris Duran was Schroeder and Shermie, and he played these in A Boy Named Charlie Brown, which was a documentary. Sally Dreyer was the voice of Violet, and she played Patty in A Boy Named Charlie Brown. Bill Melendez, who I mentioned earlier, was Snoopy. He also was the voice of Woodstock in Snoopy the Musical.
Snoopy the Musical?
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be interesting.
Karen Mendelsohn who was the voice of Patty, and she was Lucy Van Pelt in A Boy Named Charlie Brown. Jeffrey Ornstein was Pigpen, and he played himself in You Don't Look 40, Charlie Brown, which was another documentary based on the specials. Christopher Shea was the voice of Linus Van Pelt, and he played Billy Owens in something called The Boy Who Stole the Elephant.
Boy Who Stole the Elephant.
Apparently, this also showed up on a, what do they call that? The Wonderful World of Disney?
Yeah.
It came out around the same time, but it was made separate from that, and then they showed it on that. Kathy Steinberg was the voice of Sally Brown, and she did that same role in It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Okay.
And Tracy Stratford was the voice of Lucy Van Pelt, and she was the little girl in The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet.
Really?
I had a hard time finding stuff on these, if you can't tell. So it should come of no surprise that there are absolutely no Kingdom Hearts connections.
Shock. Absolutely.
I thought at least Ben Mendelsohn would have had something.
Yeah.
But, oh well. What do we got in info and stuff on this?
All right. Info and stuff. It's available to watch. If you're just wanting to just go and watch it, it's available on Apple Plus, where the Apple currently has the distributing rights to all of the Charlie Brown franchise. Other than that, you can watch it on Amazon. You can watch it, or at least stream it there. You can at least stream it there, or you can go pick up the Blu-ray and go watch it from there.
DVD, that was all I found. But
it's a DVD. Never mind. I'm pretty sure it's on Blu-ray.
I'm sure there is a Blu-ray. It wasn't at Walmart.
So yeah, you can go pick up any other format or whatever.
Sorry, I should say the store that shall not be named. Voldemort.
Yeah, Voldemort. There we go. Yeah, the Voldemort store. All right, so It has a score on IMDb of an 8.4 out of 10. It was production was by Lee Mendelsohn Films. It was distributed. Obviously, it was never distributed. It was
It aired on CBS.
yeah, aired on CBS
originally.
Now, let me just check something.
And it's now the home video is Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. It's on Warner Brothers. So the distributor is on Warner Brothers. So
It started off on CBS and then it went to ABC.
Then
and now it's on Apple.
Yeah, it was on It was on ABC, and then it went over to Apple.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll get into that in just a minute. All right. So
sorry, I jumped ahead.
no, you're good, bro. You're good. It premiered on CBS. It was released on December 9th, 1969 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
They thought it would be a flop.
Apparently I was before the monsters.
Apparently.
It had an estimated 15.4 million people watch it, and it came in second in the ratings behind Bonanza on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
The special was originally broadcast on CBS in '65 and rerun every year from '66 until 2000. Beginning with the Christmas holidays of 2001, ABC held the rights for the special. And on December 6, 2001, a half-hour documentary, which the special was titled The Making of Charlie Brown's Christmas, hosted by Whoopi Goldberg, aired on ABC. The show's 40th anniversary broadcast was aired December 6, 2005, having the highest rating, the highest rating in its time slot. The 50th anniversary was aired December 30th, 2015, featuring a full 2-hour time slot with padded by the special. It's Your 50th Christmas, Charlie Brown, which was hosted by Kristen Bell. On October 2020, Apple TV Plus acquired exclusive rights for all Peanuts related media under the terms of agreement. Apple TV Plus made a Charlie Brown Christmas and 2 other holiday specials. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, available for free from the platform during a 3-day window. The window for a Charlie Brown Christmas was December 11th through the 13th of 2020. Subscribers to Apple TV Plus have a broader window to watch the special. All right, going to home release. In 1984, the special was released on VHS and Betamax by Media Home Entertainment, along with You're Not Elected, Charlie Brown. In 1987, the special was released on VHS by High Top Video. In 1991, the special was released for a limited time on VHS through Shell Oil for sale at their gas stations.
Really?
Yeah. I remember something like that going to the station. It's like, wait a minute, that movie's here. That's weird. So moving forward, on September 28th, 1994, the special was released by Paramount on VHS. A Laserdisc was released by Paramount, distributed by Pioneer in 1996. The second side contained the 1979 special, You're the Greatest Charlie Brown. In September 2020, it was released on DVD. Bonus feature included the 1992 special, It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown. On September 23rd, 2008, Warner Home Video, which held the rights for the Peanuts special, reverted earlier that year, released the remastered DVD bonus, which included the restored version of Christmas Time Again and a new documentary titled A Christmas Miracle, the making of a Charlie Brown Christmas. On October 6th, 2009, it was released on high definition Blu-ray disc by Warner in remastered Dolby 5.1 surround sound. This disc also contained It's Christmas Time Again, It's Christmas Time Again, A Christmas Miracle, a DVD of the special, and a digital copy. Let's see. It was available it's still available through iTunes, PlayStation Network, Amazon, Google. You can watch those through those providers. In December 2014, the 50th anniversary two disc DVD set was released. It also featured the special It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown, and the making of the documentary from the previous editions. On October 31st, 2017, it was released on 4K UHD Blu-ray disc containing It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown, and the making of special. So that is all I have on info and stuff.
You missed one little thing.
What did I miss?
Who was one of the producers for this? What company that has been scrubbed? Their involvement has been scrubbed from the film due to FCC regulations that came after this film was made. A certain company.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, in fact, there's actually many cut scenes in here because they had to cut the Coca-Cola stuff out.
That makes sense now.
Because the FCC changes require them not to have such blatant sponsorship.
Really? That makes sense for 1970s.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think some of that's been rescinded because some product placement is horrendous nowadays.
That is true. Have you seen...
A lot worse than what this would have done.
That is true. Have you seen most Michael Bay films?
But yeah, they actually, this would not have happened had Coca-Cola not contacted King Feature Syndicate to produce a Christmas special.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now that makes sense for one scene that kind of bugged me a little bit, and I'll get into
one
that.
Of the editing pieces in here is because of that too.
Ah, okay.
So we'll get to that in just a minute.
Gotcha.
In the meantime, let's get into the summary for this. On their way to join their friends ice skating on a frozen pond, Charlie Brown confides in Linus that despite the Christmas season, he is still depressed. After Linus's reproach and a put down from Violet, he visits Lucy's psychiatric booth and tells her his problem. She suggests that he direct the group's annual Christmas play to get him involved, and he accepts. Charlie Brown becomes even more discouraged by his observation of Christmas's commercialization as he heads for the rehearsal. Lucy laments over not receiving real estate for Christmas. Snoopy redecorates his doghouse for a neighborhood lights and display contest, and Charlie Brown's younger sister Sally asks him to write a greedy letter to Santa Claus. At the rehearsal, Charlie Brown finds a play fit for the 1960s with dancing, lively music, and an uncooperative cast, and a Christmas queen, which is played by Lucy.
Of course.
Sensing the play needs a more proper mood, Charlie Brown recommends a Christmas tree. Lucy suggests a big pink aluminum tree and sends him and Linus to get one. At the tree lot, Charlie Brown picks the only real tree there, a small sapling. Linus questions his choice, but Charlie Brown believes that once decorated it will be perfect. When they return, however, Lucy and the others scorn him and the tree and walk away laughing. Crestfallen, Charlie Brown loudly asks if anyone knows what Christmas is all about. Linus says he does, walks to center stage, asks for a spotlight, and recites the Annunciation of the Shepherds. Returns and says, "That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown." Realizing that he doesn't have to let commercialism ruin his own Christmas, Charlie Brown takes the tree home to decorate it and show the others that it will work in the play. He stops at Snoopy's doghouse, which has won the lights and display contest, and hangs a large red Christmas ball on the tree. The ornament's weight causes the tiny tree to bend to the ground. Believing he has killed the tree, Charlie Brown dejectedly walks away. The others realize that they were too hard on Charlie Brown and quietly follow him. Linus gently uprights the drooping tree and wraps his own blanket around the base to give it some needed love. After the others give the tree a makeover, using more decorations from the doghouse, even Lucy concedes to Charlie Brown's choice. The kids then start humming Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Hearing them, Charlie Brown returns to see that the sapling is now a magnificent Christmas tree. All the kids shout, "Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown," and then sing Hark the Herald Angels Sing, with Charlie Brown joining in as the snow begins to fall. Getting into the trivia for this, Kathy Steinberg, who did the voice of Sally Brown, had not yet learned to read at the time of production.
Really?
So she had to be fed her lines, often a word or syllable at a time, which explains the rather choppy delivery of the line, "All I want is what I have coming to me. All I want is my fair share." This broke many of the rules prevalent for animated holiday specials during the 1960s. It didn't make use of a laugh track. Real children were used for the character voices instead of adult actors imitating children's voices, and biblical references were used to illustrate the true meaning of Christmas. When viewing the rough cut of the show, both Bill Melendez and Lee Mendelson were convinced that they had a flop on their hands. After it premiered, they were happily surprised and shocked at the high ratings and excellent reviews that the show received. Today, the show remains the second longest-running Christmas special on U.S. network television, right behind Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which premiered 1 year earlier and is still broadcast every year on the U.S. network television. This is the first animated Peanuts special. When they first saw the show, CBS executives were horrified at the idea of an animated Christmas special with such a blatant message. They also strongly objected to the fact that the show had no canned laughter. In addition, they greeted Vince Guaraldi's jazz score as an intrusion in the special that audiences would never accept. However, when CBS learned, to their astonishment, of the special's spectacular ratings earned on its initial broadcast and the glowing reviews for it, the network promptly contracted the producers for more specials. Just before her remarks about Christmas being a big commercial racket, Lucy refers to Charlie Brown simply as Charlie. This is the only time she does this in any of the TV specials. A version with a laugh track was produced, but later discarded after the success of the broadcast version. The original broadcast included some brief animated sections which included the logo for Coca-Cola, the show's original sponsor. These have been edited out of subsequent broadcasts and the video release. Right after the opening title, Linus crashed into a sign advertising Coca-Cola after being tossed by Snoopy. The closing carol originally included the complete verse instead of fading out, with a final on-screen "Merry Christmas from your local bottler of Coca-Cola" right after the Universal Feature Syndicate credit at the end. Production ended 10 days before it premiered.
10 days before?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snoopy's doghouse is blue in the special. Following this, it would be red. None of the children who voiced the characters received credit at the end of the short.
That's a shame.
Bill Melendez tried to talk Charles M. Schultz out of using biblical references, especially Linus's speech in the special. Schultz reportedly won him over by saying, "If we don't do it, who will?" As it turned out, Linus's recitation was hailed as one of the most powerful moments in the highly acclaimed special. In the comic strip, one of the reoccurring early theme was Linus's fear of reciting this biblical passage in the Christmas pageant. Last but not least, when A Charlie Brown Christmas won an Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program in 1966, only Lee Mendelson and Bill Melendez were called to accept the award, but they made sure that Charles Schultz was with them to give the acceptance speech. Schultz's speech simply went, "Charlie Brown's not used to winning, so we thank you."
Wow.
And that brings us to the end of the trivia.
Wow.
What is your first like?
My first like is actually a scene. Okay, so it's during the practice of the play. So Lucy is passing. She's the script girl. She's passing around stuff, and then she passes it to who else but Snoopy.
Yes.
And then obviously Lucy gets mad.
And he has to play every animal in the play.
Yeah, exactly. And what does Snoopy do? He mocks her. Snoopy. Did I call him Snoopy Doo? I did call him Snoopy Doo.
Snoopy Doo.
Apparently, I called him Snoopy Doo. But Snoopy, not Snoopy Doo, not appear with Scooby Doo, but Snoopy.
Snoopy
Doo,
where
are you? On his doghouse, pretending he's a Red Baron.
The Red
Baron. So in that scene, Lucy is getting on to everybody about stuff, and they're Snoopy mimicking her, mocking her the entire time. I'm like, go Snoopy. Because that's Snoopy. Snoopy's the sarcastic, smart aleck little dog, and is just hamming every scene he has up. And just more general, like Snoopy in general, whatever scene he's in, he's hamming it up. Even though he's just.
But what's
interesting
though about this Snoopy is this is the old design.
Yeah, this is the very old design.
This is not the modern design we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was interesting.
I did too. I thought it was very, very, very unique. That the Snoopy that there again we reviewed the Peanuts movie, and so we get this more modern interpretation of Snoopy.
Yeah,
and this is the original version of the classic TV special Snoopy.
What's weird though is that we've got the modern look of all the human characters.
Yeah,
because if you go back and look at like the original comic strips, like from the first year, they look entirely different from what we're used to seeing.
Oh yeah,
Snoopy's the only one that still is using his original design in this.
Yeah, that'd be like if you look at most web comics or funny papers, be like the character designs do change over time. Right. Definitely with something like Peanuts and Charles Schultz. I'm saying that right? Yeah, his design changed a little bit, except for Snoopy.
It took him a lot longer to change Snoopy's look.
Yeah.
But he does eventually.
He does eventually change it, but that's art for it. It progresses over time.
He actually still looks like a beagle in this.
Yeah.
Instead of whatever overly stylized thing Snoopy becomes later on.
Yeah, he does look like a beagle. So yeah, that is probably my favorite scene. Is literally Snoopy mocking Lucy for being Lucy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious. And there again, Snoopy throughout this entire film steals every scene he's in because he's Snoopy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first. What's yours?
I'm not surprised Snoopy is your first like.
Oh, who knows? Who would have thought?
So I like the biblical message in this.
Oh, I agreed.
Because, I mean, they say this was a risk in 1960s to do this.
Yeah, that's saying something.
Good night. You couldn't even get away with it now.
No,
I don't think. But the fact that they go through and they actually read a fairly long passage.
Yeah.
Of the book of Luke, chapter 2.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's like, okay, you want to know what the true meaning of Christmas is?
Exactly.
It's God. It's Jesus. He's the reason.
Exactly.
And you actually have the guts to talk about that on television. On the same sort of television that has been replayed year after year after year. It has not skipped a year.
Yeah.
It has been broadcast either on CBS, ABC, or PBS since Apple has the rights to it.
Mm-hmm.
But at least they are putting it out on PBS.
Yeah.
They're getting every year at least somebody is hearing what Christmas is all about, and what they're hearing is it's Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Which is what Christmas is all about.
Exactly.
So I love that we actually have that here.
Yeah.
In fact, this is probably the only Christmas special I can think of, or the only Christmas thing I can think of that is not a retelling of the Nativity.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion that actually has a Christian message.
Agreed.
Because this is very much a standard Christmas special. It's very secular except for this one moment.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, thank you. You actually did the cool thing and actually said, yeah, all the stuff that we have surrounding Christmas, that's all fluff.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the reason why we have Christmas.
Exactly.
And if y'all don't like that, I don't care.
Yeah. Amen.
So yeah, I like that we actually have this. That I don't know how much of a Christian Charles Schultz was.
Yeah,
But
apparently
I
he was
appreciate that
very devoted.
I appreciate that he put his foot down for this.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, because he did that, at least people will passively hear the gospel essentially anytime they watch this.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. So leading from that, originally this was gonna be my third, so I'm putting in the second. It's actually Charlie's just trying to discover what Christmas is, because he's always sad and depressed about things. So he doesn't know what the meaning of Christmas is. He's supposed to be happy and joyful about things, but he feels suppressed.
Charlie
Brown, of course. But then you lead into
all the Charlie Browns in the world. He's the Charlie
Brown.
Browniest.
He's Charlie Browniest. So you have Linus, right?
Yeah,
Linus is the one who does the read from Luke, and that was
in fact I watched the making of thing. Only the voices for Charlie Brown and Linus had any voice work before this.
Really,
yeah,
interesting.
So they were the only ones who actually knew how to act.
That makes sense.
The rest were just kids.
Yeah, just reading lines
and then having fun.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what you do when you're a kid. You have fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Linus is reading from the book of Luke, and the whole reason behind Christmas is the birth of Jesus. Now there's a lot of detractors out there. They'd be like, well, Jesus wasn't born a major. That couldn't have happened. Well, this stuff did happen. They've scientifically proven it. So go look that information up yourself. If you don't want to believe the biblical telling of the birth of Jesus, go look up the historical data. It backs it up. Which that's something I love, being a history nerd and being a devoted Christian. You get those two, they smack together. And it's just more be like the idea that it's like, yes, Christianity did take a lot of things from other cultures as they absorb them into the Christian faith, but at the core of its story is Jesus' birth, his miraculous birth in a manger to a virgin to come and save the world. Wow. Not as a conquering hero, but as a shepherd who laid down his life for his friends, meaning us, or all. So I really enjoyed that they actually Schultz took the guts, took the chance to, like, I'm not trying to repeat what Drew said, but took the opportunity to share the gospel, even though it's a very small, minute telling,
and only a part of the gospel.
It's only a small part of it, and it was so amazing to see that, definitely for the first time in like years, probably since I was a kid watching this, and like really understanding what kind of impact that takes, definitely with a national audience, and in some cases a world audience, where some people have never heard the name of Jesus. They're like, oh, who is this Jesus person that was born, that was born in a manger? Now, was Jesus born in December? We don't know that. This was more absorbed from... Most likely not. It's absorbed from different cultures.
Anyway.
Yeah, either way. There again, history nerd. I nerd out about this stuff.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get you back on track.
Yeah, thank you. So, yes, that scene was very, very moving, very powerful. And, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was very much the reason for... not. It sounds cheesy, but it's a reason for the season. And it's the birth of Christ. So that's why we celebrate it. So... that's my number 2.
My second is it's an effective use of simple animation.
Okay.
This is not an expensive cartoon.
No, it's not.
In any way, shape, or form.
No.
I mean, the hardest part you have here is the fact that it was, I think, only the second time they had ever tried to animate the Peanuts characters. The time before that being a car commercial.
Really?
That was in black and white. So there are interesting things like that little tuft of hair on Charlie Brown's head.
Yeah.
when he's facing the camera, it's in one location, but when he's facing to the side, it's kind of just like sticking up.
Yeah.
And not connected in any way, shape, or form to where it is on the front of his face when he's facing the camera. So they had to figure out a way to animate that, which I thought was interesting. But I mean, the fact that, I mean, it is using the cartoon line art as its for its character models, which I appreciate. That's hard. This is not a very simple look in reality.
No, it's not.
It's very sketchy in the way it's designed, and to actually have it animate correctly to a point where it doesn't feel awkward most of the time.
Right.
There are some instances where it's like, oh yeah, this was cheap animation.
Yeah.
But the fact that on that cheap scale they were able to produce this very nice, simple looking to most people cartoon on obviously a shoestring budget. I'm amazed that it came out as good as it did, to be honest. And
Agreed.
They used the animation effectively. I mean, there's only about, I think, 7 backgrounds from this whole thing.
Yeah.
They reused the animation of Linus and Charlie Brown from the beginning of the movie when they're going to the Christmas tree farm, the aluminum Christmas tree farm.
Gotcha.
Which, by the way, I didn't know aluminum Christmas trees were a thing until I watched this. Apparently, aluminum Christmas trees went out of favor 2 years after this movie came out. I wonder if this movie had an effect on them.
Maybe. You never know.
It could have. I don't know. But they're gone now. Now our fake trees are made out of plastic and vinyl, like the one behind me.
Right.
There's nothing really complex that they animate here. Even having the and of course you got the old traditional 3 frame loop dancing that they repeat on end throughout this thing.
Agreed.
They look for reasons to have them do the dancing.
Oh, yeah.
And half the time the dancing doesn't even make sense why they're dancing.
Yeah.
Or why they're playing music right now because they're supposed to be rehearsing a play.
Mm-hmm.
But
I love the animation in that.
Yeah.
Because every character has their own animation. It's not like every 2 or 3 characters have the exact same animation.
Well, the 2 characters who are, I mean, assuming they're twins, but they're both the girls in the purple shirt.
Mm-hmm.
They have the same dance.
Okay, that makes sense.
But they also have the same character design. So
yeah.
Who am I to complain?
That is true.
But yeah, the simple animation, this is used effectively to the point where, yeah, it looks a little crusty sometimes, but for the most part, it's harmless in its crustiness.
Yeah.
And you kind of just don't care after a while. So like, okay, yeah, this is it. It's cheap, sure, but it works. And it
Indeed.
works. Why it doesn't need to be more complex than this.
Indeed.
In fact, I watched a little my special came with that It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Which is made like in the 90s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched a little bit of it. I didn't get a chance to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost too smooth.
Almost too smooth?
It's almost too good. Compared to this.
I gotcha.
That's just my opinion. But yeah, the effective use of simple animation is number 2. What's your third like?
All right. So before I get into my third like in this film, I know we just mentioned that Linus does quote scripture in this movie. So
yes,
I just wanted to from the King James version. Well, I'm not using King James version because I'm using the ESV version. So I'd like to read that to you right now. All right. So going to Luke 2, starting at 8. In the same region, there was shepherds out in the field, keeping watch over the fold by night. And an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone upon them. There again, it's more than one angel. And they were filled with fear. And the angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold, I bring good news of great joy that will be to all the people, for unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior. A Savior who is Christ the Lord. And this will be the sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. And suddenly there was an angel of multitude in the heavenly host praised the Lord and started singing, glories to the Lord in the highest, and on earth peace among those with whom he is pleased. Just that'd be kind of give people who maybe don't know what we're talking about. That's what it's referring to.
Okay.
All right. So going into my third like. So going back to Drew's third like, it's in the same vein. Second
or
one.
first. I don't know which one you're referring to because I haven't said my third.
Well, your third like.
I haven't said my third like yet.
Second like. That's what I meant to say. Your second like. Yeesh. His second like revolved around the animation. So there again, it is simple animation. It's on a shoestring budget.
Mm-hmm.
The scene that gets me there again, going back to the play rehearsal, where I don't remember exactly what's going on. I think it's Lucy is arguing with somebody, be like, hey, I'm going to give you 5 reasons. And she does this number.
Yeah.
Balls up her fist for 5.
Those are good reasons.
Those are good reasons. And just that simple animation of having the entire hand fold into a fist.
Yeah.
Like that is incredible for a movie that's done there again on a shoestring budget. And I thought that was incredible. They did that. Now, granted, it's funny. It's a funny little scene, but from a animation standpoint, nowadays it would be like, okay, let's like not even see the fold. It's more like, okay, here's a blur.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, exactly. Just
like, that's not as fun.
No, it's not. It's
1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
Those are good reasons.
Very good reasons. So yeah, that's my third reason. What is yours, Drew?
My third like for this is the sad little Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
And what it represents.
Okay.
Because you think about it. That poor thing. It was the only real tree standing amongst a field of metal, perfect aluminum Christmas trees.
Yes.
And yet, by the time we get to the end of the film, it outshines all those fake trees.
Agreed.
But just a little bit of, love and care. And, nothing of its own, really. It was because of, it was because of what was put into it.
Yeah.
And that is so much of life, it feels like to me.
Agreed.
Because, we're Christians.
Yeah.
By ourselves, we are that sad little tree.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
3 twigs and a bunch of what do you call those things on pine trees? The sprigs. They're not called leaves, but they do that purpose.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
What I'm talking about.
Yes.
All those keep falling off. That is us.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Pretty much by ourselves. Yeah.
By ourselves. But when we are clothed in God's righteousness, we look so much better than all the cheap, fake imitations ones that we're around day in and day out. And I like just that visual image of that. I appreciate it so much. And it's when Charlie Brown screws it up that it looks the worst.
Yeah, agreed.
Because he puts he with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
He puts that ball on the top of the tree and it falls over and he thinks he's killed it. So when through our best of intentions, we tend to screw it up, but I don't know. I may be reading too much into this one little moment. I don't know. But I don't know. That just struck me like that. So
Yeah. Good
I
observation.
love the dinky little Christmas tree.
Yeah. It's also with kind of going back to that same idea, that the idea that we by ourselves are this, weak little self, but without the intervention of Christ and the Holy Spirit through His death and resurrection, uh, we are made anew in Christ. So, and the idea that once we were weak and lost, and now we are filled with the Holy Spirit, we are revived, we are renewed. But at the same time, the idea of like all of Charlie Brown's friends who in the last scene mocked him, were mocking him the entire time. So they come together and build this tree up to its build the tree up like the body of Christ is do, is to build each other up and encourage each other in our faith.
Yeah.
And to keep us on the path of righteousness. And often that is great to have someone be like me and Drew. It's more like sometimes it's more we have our bad days, and it's like you build each other up. You'd be like,
sometimes we want to strangle each other.
Exactly, because you have that when you've been doing this for nearly you didn't know, like almost 4 years. So, and the exact same time, it's when you are down, the world is beating you over the head. It's great to talk to another brother or sister in Christ about it, and they can encourage you with scripture or pray over you on things, and just let's hey, it's be like, hey, the world's gonna hate you just as Christ said He would, because it first hated me. So it's very encouraging when the body of Christ comes and builds another up when they're down and having problems, and it's good. It's good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We'll move that to the front. I am so sorry. That just slipped my mind until just this minute.
Whoops.
So yeah. This is where did my thing go? He says we need to take the whole segment and do it up for a devotion.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to do that this month. I'm sorry. We are busy this month.
Yeah, we are busy with this month, but yeah, that'd be amazing to do.
Now I gotta find all my things again because it closed. Okay.
Find all the stuff.
There, it's all back up. All right, so you ready to jump into dislikes?
Sure.
All right. Hit this one more time. So, Jacob, what is your first dislike?
What is my first dislike? So you solved a little bit of my dilemma very early on your trivia. So mine was the disappearing, misshaped coin can at Lucy's psychiatric booth
For her nickel.
for her lovely nickel, the sound of nickels.
She loves the sound of nickels. Nickel.
Nickels.
So, I'm feeling nickel and dime just watching this.
So for me, I'm watching this like, why in the world is the can keeps changing shapes and sometimes it disappears? I'm like, why does it look like it's it's like it's not matching any of the color from the surrounding the original animation. It's like it was edited. And I'm like, and then Drew popped in and said, during his trivia, that originally Coca-Cola was a sponsor for this. So I'm only assuming
they did not have that on the can.
They didn't have it on the can?
No, none of the two cans that we see in this being her nickel can and then the can that Linus knocks off the fence with the snowball he launches out of his blanket.
That was a cool scene, though.
And that scene had been cut for a long time for time purposes and was only recently added back in.
Really?
And to the point where people thought it must have been a Coca-Cola can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. You can see it's a tomato can.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell what Lucy's can was originally, but
yeah,
it's not a Coca-Cola can.
Okay.
Because the only two locations where the Coca-Cola logo was seen was when Linus hit the sign at the beginning that got cut out.
Okay.
And then the message at the very end after the King Feature Syndicate credit.
Okay. So now that that's been debunked, that entire scene drove me nuts. But like, yeah, it was great that Lucy is counseling Charlie over his problem, but the entire time I'm watching this little can, which like it changes shapes every freaking change. Like every
Yeah.
time there's a different shift in
Every time the camera changes.
every time the camera changes, either it's small, it's round, it looks like a can, then it looks just like a square, and then it completely disappears. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Because there again, I was convinced after you said that had to be a Coca-Cola can. They had to go back and re-edit out, but apparently not. It just looked very weird against. It looked like it'd be like the color was so standoff from the background. It threw me for a loop.
Nope, that was one of the downsides of the shoestring budget.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
One bit of continuity they couldn't keep up with.
Right.
In fact, to my knowledge, with the exception of remastering of the short, this has had no edits to it whatsoever.
Wow.
And taking out the Coca-Cola stuff.
Yeah.
Which was all done before digital, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, fun. So yeah, that's my number one dislike. What is yours?
My first dislike is it feels like I'm watching an actual children's Christmas pageant. Watching this thing.
Okay.
Part of that is because of the children being actual children voicing the actual characters, but so much of this feels like we go one direction and then it goes, oh, and we're going over here. We're supposed to be. This whole thing is based around a play, right?
Yeah.
90% of the time, the only time we see them doing anything with the play is we see when Lucy's handing out the assignments, and we get and each one gets a
part,
and they get one little reference to whatever it is. The only other thing we get is when the innkeeper and his wife, played by Violet and Pigpen, I think it's Violet. I could be wrong on who the red-haired girl in this, because it's not the little red-haired girl.
Oh, okay.
It's somebody else. But the one who likes her naturally curly red hair that she kept bringing up over and over.
Yeah.
That's the only other part of this play that we actually see. The rest of the time, it's like, well, let's get ready to rehearse, and now we're dancing to Lucy and Linus again. That's the name of the song. The normal Peanuts song.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the name of that song is Lucy and Linus.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it's called Lucy and Linus, because I don't think it ever plays when it's just Lucy and Linus on screen. But that's the name of the song.
Oh, okay.
But every time they do that and they go to the dancing, and I'm sitting there going, aren't y'all supposed to be rehearsing for whatever this play is?
Yeah.
We don't see a play in this. We just
No.
see, as far as we know, the play is just these kids randomly getting up on stage and dancing. One scene that happens to have an innkeeper and his wife, and Linus just suddenly belting out that chapter from Luke.
Yeah.
As far as I know, that's what the play is. That's not a play.
No, it's not.
That's not even a good children's program.
Agreed.
I've seen better children's programs than what they tried to show here. And Lucy, and they all act like it's no big deal. Because Lucy says, isn't this a wonderful play, Charlie Brown, with all this music and me snapping along with the music? And it's like, there's no play. There is no play here.
Well, that's what happens when you have children who are putting a play on by themselves.
Obviously.
There's no adults like wrangling them.
As far as I can tell, there was no script for them to rereading. They handed out a script. It must have just been a piece of paper that says, okay, when we point at you, you go on stage and you dance. Because that's about all they did.
Well, it was 60s. Let's say that.
I know. I'm reading too much into this, but it's like, I wish the plot was a little more consistent.
Right.
Because they say it's about this one thing and we have to take their word for it.
Yeah.
Because we don't see that thing.
Agreed.
And you do get about Charlie complaining about the commercialism throughout, which is, the main thing about this. But we don't see much actual commercialism for him to rail against. We get the only real commercialism I really saw, anything I would actually call commercialism,
Yeah,
is his sister Sally asking Santa Claus for cash.
Yeah, that's what
That's very much very materialistic.
Yeah, agreed.
The other thing they point out is Snoopy with his lighting and decoration contest that he entered, and he might win money.
Yeah.
What if Snoopy just wanted to decorate his doghouse, enter the contest for fun, and if he won something, woohoo!
Yeah.
I mean, this is still when Snoopy doesn't have much of a motivation other than he just likes to have fun.
Yeah.
In the era of this stuff. I don't think Snoopy cared if he won or not. He just wanted to decorate his doghouse.
Yeah, and also the fact
So that's not very commercialism to me.
And also be like, there's like, they mentioned that Snoopy was in a contest, but we don't see any other of contests going on.
As far as we know, he won by default.
Yeah, he was the only one
being honest.
Yeah,
and his decorations get taken down that night to decorate this little rinky-dink tree.
Yeah.
So, what you say it's about commercialism? There's not much here.
No, there's not.
You're just supposed to assume, it's 60s commercialism. The worst thing you see is someone is selling Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Aluminum Christmas trees, but hey, that was a thing at the time.
Apparently.
I don't know who would sell fake Christmas trees outside like they're real Christmas trees, but that may have been a thing. Maybe you didn't want to have. Maybe I don't know if you actually could set up or take down the aluminum Christmas trees like you can these plastic and vinyl ones we got now.
Yeah,
because I never dealt with an aluminum Christmas tree.
Me either.
So I don't see much commercialism for Charlie Brown to be mad at.
Right.
Other than, someone forgot to send him a Christmas card. Actually, everyone didn't send him a Christmas card. Guess what, Charlie Brown? That's not because they hate you. It's because you're Charlie Brown. That's the shtick of this show.
Pretty much. And he wants to blame me. He talks to one girl, and that's it about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really go around and tell everybody. There again, it's a short. I get it. But it's more like, I didn't send you a card, Charlie.
And it's just an excuse for Charlie Brown to be sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I dislike this of the movie. It's just I wish there was a little more show and not as much tell.
Agreed.
Is the best way I know how to put it, because we're told that Charlie Brown's depressed because of the commercialism in his life. We don't really get to see that.
Yeah,
we're told they're putting on a Christmas play. As far as I can tell, they're putting on a dance party.
Pretty much.
And it doesn't. None of that takes away from Linus's speech. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
And his recitation, but the excuses for what is going on is all told to us. It's not shown to us.
Agreed.
And that's kind of what I wish was different.
Agreed.
So what's your second dislike?
My second dislike, there again, it's going back to the quote unquote the play, where Charlie is getting verbally assaulted for bringing the wrong tree.
Yeah,
because he wants to bring the rinky-dink tree and thinks that's going to be the best one, not bringing the aluminum one. So
proof that he doesn't know his audience.
Exactly. So throughout the entire scene, there's all these characters. And like I noticed throughout the entire thing where like the character's skin tone, like you would have it's one shade, and then it's like in the next frame it changed to another skin tone, another shade of whatever color. And I was like, I understand it's a cheap shoestring budget.
Yes.
And that drove me nuts.
But you would have liked more consistency.
Yeah, more consistency. I understand. Be like, go back, remaster this film, and color correct it.
Depends on what the actual issue is for me. If this is present in the actual elements, like in the actual film, like if you were to actually project it onto a screen,
right?
I wouldn't want them to fix that because that's. I'm a purist in that way.
I get that.
I mean, it's like when you go back and you look at how Disney cleaned up Cinderella and you can't see half the details in her dress.
That is true. They've gone back and recorrected that.
I know, but that was a problem for a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm much more of leave the bad animation in.
I would agree with that.
You know, if you're going to remake it, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But
or at least try to clean it up a little bit.
it should be color corrected so that for a little bit of consistency.
Exactly.
But if the skin color is changing because it's one thing if the skin color is changing because the film is changing.
Yeah.
It's another thing if they accidentally used the wrong color for the skin when they were painting the cell.
Yeah, that's my thought. With there again, it's they like you said before, they were making this too like up to the gun of the broadcast.
They probably barely had any time for any quality
control
on this.
Oh yeah, so that is understandable. But at the same time, be like, I really wish they would have like gone back and like tweaked it a little bit, made a little more consistency in there when it comes to
Now, I will also point out one other thing neither one of us have brought up yet.
What's that?
We're seeing a high definition flat screen LCD progressive scan.
Yeah.
Of this. That was never the way this was intended to be watched.
Of course.
This was intended to be watched on a CRT interlay signal with half the signal getting there a split second after the other half of the signal got there.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing all the warts and stuff because it's not getting smoothed over.
Yeah, exactly.
By the electron gun that this was intended to be watched with.
Yeah.
So I will throw that little bit of a shtick in there.
That makes sense.
Because that could actually clean up a lot of the problems we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of the skin tone problems.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, good points. All good points. All good points. Yeah, that was my number 2 complaint was the alteration, either it's the way it was originally supposed to be projected, color problems, wasn't able to manage everything the way it should have been due to its time constraint. But overall, the like you would have one part of the skin would be like a flush tone, and the next the arm would be like a slight pink color. I'm like, I wish they would have managed that a little better. That's what I'm saying.
I will say I did watch this twice, once on the Apple TV version and once on the DVD.
Yeah.
It looked better on DVD.
Oh, okay.
That's just the thing. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay. All right.
In fact, my second dislike is only true of the Apple TV version.
Okay.
Because I did not catch it on this version, and that was the editing around the Coca-Cola endorsements.
Okay.
It's not so much the one at the end, it's the one that was at the beginning. Linus hitting the Coca-Cola sign at this point is lost media because they're not even putting it on this, which I would be fine with at this point. I don't think Coca-Cola would care. In fact, they probably like a little bit of free advertising.
True.
And I would love to see an uncut version of this because I like to see the original edit of anything.
Agreed.
But the way they edited around that Coca-Cola part there at the beginning, they didn't even do a good fade out of the music before it would have gone to that. It looks like they went right up to the frame when it would have switched over to Linus flying through the air to hit the sign or whatever it actually went to next. And then just cut the music off there. It's like you could at least fade the audio out.
Could have, yeah.
Maybe you could have given like about a second or two as you see the words "So Charlie Brown Christmas," fade the audio out, and that way when you come back from the commercial, which is the reason for the quick cut on the other end, you could go ahead and bring the audio back up then. Also, this is not something we talk about much on the show because most of the time we don't have to deal with commercial breaks.
That is true.
That were part of the original thing. I don't know if this is the way it's situated on the Masters or if this was just how the digital version is. I want where the commercial breaks would have been, where they were designed to go in, I should say. I want 2 or 3 seconds of a black screen.
Okay. That makes sense.
Just so it's like, okay, this was the commercial. There is meant to be a break here. But the way they did it, it jumps from one scene right into the next. And there's a little bit of weirdness in that cut. Because it was not meant, those two scenes were not meant to be seen back to back. There was supposed to be a commercial for Sears Roebuck in there selling you, I don't know, from the 60s. What would have been a big toy?
In the 60s?
Yeah, Slinkies.
Yeah, Slinkies.
Slinky or some, or I guess I don't think Light Bright was around by then, but that there was supposed to be a commercial there for, I don't know, the Flintstones breakfast cereal for Fruity Pebbles, with Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble doing their thing from the 60s, or something to that effect. It's not meant to go straight from this shot to this shot. There's supposed to be a separation there. Put that separation in there, please. I don't want you to make fake commercials, mind you. I just want you to put in a black screen for like a second or two. Just long enough that the mental break comes in. We're at the break. It went to commercial, and now we're back. That's all I want. And that would fix the edit.
Okay.
That would actually fix all the editing problems in this for me.
Okay.
Because the more I think about it, each one of even the Coca-Cola thing,
Yeah.
that would have been fixed if you'd have just faded to a commercial and then come back.
Agreed.
That's all I want. That's my second dislike. What's your
you.
third?
My third dislike, there again, this is going back to like Drew's excellent point on his second of utilizing the fact that there were commercials. There is a lot of, if you pay attention to the line work on this, there's a lot of bleed over. There's a lot of bleed over with the character designs. Now, granted, it's not a lot, but you notice it if you pay attention to those things. Like whenever they get real close up on a character, you can see that the color bleed on it just slightly. And I understand it's part. It could have been when they scanned this in digitally and compressed it, putting it on DVD and Blu-ray, or making a digital stream. That could have caused it, because I'm fairly certain it could have been during the original broadcast. Just this little bit of a color bleed over. There again, it is the 60s. It's not a modern movie. I hope they don't remake this.
No, don't remake
it. Don't remake it. It's a great, perfect little short film as it is.
I'll get to talk about my problems with remaking in about 2 episodes.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, mine was just this little bleed over. It's a nitpick. This bleed over whenever you got into like a close up with the character, it was just it was slightly frustrating that it would happen, but understanding the limitations of animation at the time, it was the 60s. You go back and watch some of the 60 films from Disney or whoever, like you had slight bleed over, just very slight. But Disney having a greater budget, they could do it more efficiently. Yeah. But with this restricted budget and a time restraint, apparently, you had to cut corners, and apparently some of the cut corners was letting a little bit of bleed over.
I'm also suspecting this is looking a little bit worse than it normally would, because I don't think the transfer was from the original film masters from when they animated it.
Probably.
In fact, I bet this may not have even gone to film originally. I bet it was straight to the old videotape from the 60s.
Yeah.
Which is going to give you a little, especially over time, especially depending on how many times it was transferred.
Yeah, degradation.
There's going to be some degradation. That may have caused some of the weird coloring issues we were talking about.
Yeah.
And a lot of what you were just talking about.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, that's there again. My third is a nitpick. What is yours?
My third dislike is that the story feels oddly compressed, yet it's also too long.
Okay,
I call this I say it that way. I think it's more of a pacing issue.
Okay,
More than it is anything else.
Yeah.
I think some of that may be fixed with what I mentioned earlier about the commercial breaks, because that's obviously where the act breaks are. But it feels like we zoom in on these moments and stay there for a while because it's this funny little skit that we're working on right now. But we get back to we'll stay on that, and then we'll get back to the story for a bit, like the whole part of Lucy wanting Schroeder to play Jingle Bells.
Yeah,
and she gives him very nondescript ways of playing Jingle Bells, to the point where he finally just gives up and starts playing off key on his piano, one finger at a time. The Jingle Bell singing. She goes, "Oh, that's it."
he goes flipping.
Yeah, that's funny. What does this have to do with the play?
Yeah,
Because he's obviously playing Beethoven. He's already chosen for release for the Christmas music that came up earlier. It's not exactly a Christmassy classic song, but whatever.
Yeah.
Why is we now playing Jingle Bells? I don't know. Jingle Bells would work in this, and it's playing off. Well, the first two versions sounded fine.
Right.
The third one was obviously him just being angry at Lucy.
Right.
But which was a great joke. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it feels like we focus so much on these moments that we aren't focusing on the story, because there's not much story to focus on.
That is true.
And I know to some degree that's because they're trying to adapt the comic strip, which, like we talked about last week with My Neighbors the Yamadas.
Yes.
Sometimes that leads to a skit that's this long versus a skit that's, shorter, or a skit that's longer, depending on how it was set up. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But I still think, especially with a 30-minute short, if you either are going to be making skits where where My Neighbors the Yamadas, they actually said, yeah, this is this skit, this is this skit. They gave each skit a name. This is obviously written with the idea that this is all happening one right after another. But at the same time, it feels like there's very little story for all these things to connect into.
Yeah.
That's just, I think that's more of a nitpick for me. But yeah, it feels like it's too long, yet it feels like there's parts of it that are compressed in there, because it's like, and now we have to hit the plot, go really, really fast, and now we're to another joke.
Agreed.
It's weird, and
Agreed.
it's more of a pacing issue than anything else. And like I said, for the most part, not looking at this critically, I don't notice it. But when I watch it for the show, of course, I have to look at it critically. So I just wish the pacing was just a little bit more streamlined, a little more consistent. That's all I'm asking.
All right.
Which brings us to the end of our reviews, which means we need to rate this thing. What are you rating it?
I am gonna rate it. I'm gonna give it a 9. Be like, it's an enjoyable little short. It's got a very sweet little message, even though there's not a whole lot story there. It's got amazing little message to it, and about what the meaning of Christmas is, and the joy of what Christmas should mean, and learning that lesson. I thought that was a very amazing little story. The little vignettes here and there of definitely with Snoopy just mocking Lucy was hilarious, and it's a timeless classic which should be enjoyed by all. And if you haven't watched the entire thing, watch it. If you're an adult, watch it with your kids. If you're a kid or a young adult, go watch it.
Watch it with the family. It's clean. Yeah,
exactly.
It's got a good message. Go watch it.
It's Charlie Brown and Snoopy.
Yes.
What can go wrong? There again,
a lot could go wrong.
A lot could go wrong, but it's family fun. It's just a good little short, so go watch it. What's your score?
I'm also giving it a 9.
Excellent. It's
a fun little short. It's only about 30 minutes long, so it takes almost none of your time. In many ways, it's a mostly harmless thing. Most of what I brought up as negatives, as dislikes,
Indeed.
Those are more nitpicks than anything else. It's just things I would like for it to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
There's not much you can actually improve on, I feel, in this for what it is. And because of what it is, I don't want them to change it now.
Yeah, indeed.
Because I feel this is landmark animation.
Indeed.
Especially for TV animation. I mean, it won an Emmy Award. So, and it had almost half of the ratings for the night that it originally aired, and it airs every year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a classic. Year for over 50 years.
Yes.
I'm sorry. At that point, you don't get to be called a bad.
Yeah.
And so it's a classic. You should go watch it. Yeah, these little things might hinder you, especially if you're used to modern day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it with a grain of salt.
Indeed.
I'm not going to tell you to turn your brain off because that's impossible. But just take it for what it is.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Just take it for what it is. Enjoy it for what it is. And yeah. That's my thoughts on it.
All right, excellent.
Which brings us to the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we're going to be reviewing a movie that I won't have until Thursday.
Understood.
It is Arthur Christmas.
Really?
Yes. It is a story about Santa Claus, about the latest in the long line of Santa Clauses, trying to take care of some business. Trying to prove himself.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the trivia question for this week. And it's not on here. It's over here. Brings us to the trivia question for this episode. What is Arthur trying to deliver in this movie?
Good question.
So I will be posting that probably tomorrow morning on the Facebook group. So take a look out for that. And go ahead and give an answer when you see it. And in the meantime, go find that. I know it's on. I saw it on Amazon. If you want to go watch it,
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
And can't find it at the store like I couldn't, and had to order it online.
Yeah.
So I guess that's going to be it for us this week.
I guess so.
So in the meantime, this has been Drew,
This is Jacob.
and we'll catch you in the next frame. Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at GGeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast,
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Heron, where we talk about live action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L. Good grief. And Merry Christmas.
Eh.